Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the viewport of the Terran Defense Force flagship Horizon, watching the distant flashes of combat illuminate the darkness of space. Each burst of light represented another skirmish between human forces and the relentless Kronax fleet. 3 months of constant retreat had pushed humanity to the edge of its territory, and now they were making their final stand at New Eden, humanity's most populous colony world. Another transmission from the Kronax, Admiral, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his communication station. "They're demanding our unconditional surrender." Chen didn't turn from the viewport. "Same terms as before?" "Yes, ma'am. Complete disarmament of all human military forces and integration into their protective sphere of influence." Rodriguez's voice dripped with contempt at the final words. "Protective sphere of influence," Chen muttered. "That's what they told the Arcturians before strip mining their homeworld." She finally turned to face her bridge crew, noting the exhaustion etched into their faces. "Status of the evacuation." Commander Patel consulted her holographic display. "Civilian ships are at 82% capacity. We need another 6 hours to complete the evacuation of New Eden's surface. Time until the main Kronax fleet arrives?" 4 hours, maximum." Chen closed her eyes, feeling the weight of command press down on her shoulders. The Kronax had systematically dismantled humanity's outer defenses over the past year, their superior numbers and technology proving overwhelming. Earth's governments had already begun preparing for the seemingly inevitable occupation. A sudden burst of static filled the bridge, followed by an urgent call from the Horizon's archaeology section. "Admiral, you need to see this immediately." The voice belonged to Dr. Maya Williams, the ship's chief xenoarchaeologist. Under normal circumstances, Chen would have demanded a proper report, but something in Williams' voice caught her attention. "This had better be important, Doctor. We're a little busy up here. Trust me, Admiral. This changes everything." 10 minutes later, Chen stood in the ship's archaeology lab, staring at a holographic projection of what appeared to be an ancient recording. The image showed a human woman in an antiquated uniform speaking to a tall, ethereal being with iridescent skin and multiple sets of eyes. "This was recovered from the ruins on New Eden's southern continent?" Chen asked, studying the recording. Williams nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, but that's not the important part. This recording is from the Pathfinder mission, humanity's first interstellar colony ship. The date stamp puts it at exactly 300 years ago." Chen's eyes widened. The Pathfinder mission was legendary, the first human attempt at colonization beyond the solar system. The ship had vanished without a trace, leading to decades of safer, slower expansion methods before faster-than-light travel was developed. The recording crackled to life, and the human woman's voice filled the lab. "This is Captain Elena Santos of the Earth ship Pathfinder. We've encountered a spatial anomaly that's damaged our navigation systems. The Veldari have offered to help repair our ship and guide us to a habitable world." The alien, apparently a Veldari, spoke next, its voice carrying a musical quality that seemed to resonate in Chen's chest. "We offer this aid freely, asking only that humanity remember this moment. Should there come a time when the children of Earth face darkness among the stars, call upon the Veldari. We will honor this debt." Williams paused the recording. "Admiral, the Veldari were one of the most advanced species ever encountered, but they vanished from known space over 2 centuries ago. No one knows where they went or why they left." Chen studied the frozen image of the Veldari elder. "And you think this ancient promise still holds? That they'd actually help us?" The Veldari were known for their absolute adherence to their word. It was fundamental to their culture. If any of them still exist. Williams let the implication hang in the air. Before Chen could respond, the ship shuddered as distant weapons fire impacted their shields. Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom, "Admiral to the bridge. Kronax fleet approaching ahead of schedule." Chen looked at the frozen image one last time. They were out of options, out of time, and out of allies. Doctor, can you broadcast this recording on all frequencies? Include the original Veldari language tracks. Yes, but, we don't even know if they're out there to receive it. Right now, hope is all we have left. Chen turned to leave the lab. Broadcast it on repeat. If there's even a chance. She returned to the bridge as another volley of Kronax weapons fire rattled the ship. The enemy fleet was visible now, their biomechanical ships looking like a swarm of metal insects against the backdrop of space. Shields at 60%, Patel reported. We can't take much more of this. Chen took her command chair. All ships, defensive formation Delta. Protect those civilian transports at all costs. She watched as the massive Kronax fleet approached, their numbers seeming to block out the stars themselves. And keep broadcasting that recording. Full power. The bridge crew worked with grim determination as the battle began in earnest. Minutes stretched into an hour as the human fleet desperately held the line. Ships exploded on both sides, but the humans were steadily losing ground. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, his voice tight with stress. Something's happening at the edge of the system. Massive energy readings. Chen turned to the main viewscreen just as space itself seemed to tear open. Through the rift emerged ships unlike anything she'd ever seen, organic-looking vessels that seemed to be made of crystal and light. Dozens, then hundreds of them poured through the opening. The bridge fell silent as a transmission came through on all frequencies. The musical language was immediately recognizable from the recording, followed by a translation. We are the Veldari. We remember our promise to the children of Earth. The debt will be honored. As the Veldari ships moved to engage the shocked Kronax fleet, Chen allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes, it seemed, old promises were worth more than all the weapons in the galaxy. The crystalline Veldari flagship dwarfed the horizon as the two vessels hung in synchronized orbit above New Eden. Admiral Chen had expected first contact protocols, formal negotiations, or at least some kind of diplomatic exchange. Instead, the Veldari had immediately engaged the Kronax fleet with devastating efficiency, their advanced weapons cutting through enemy shields like they didn't exist. Now, 6 hours later, Chen stood in the Horizon's main conference room, facing the Veldari elder who had requested this meeting. The alien was even more striking in person than in the ancient recordings, nearly 3 meters tall, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors with each movement and multiple sets of eyes that moved independently. It called itself First Elder Lasara. Your ancestors' warning proved accurate, Lasara said, its melodic voice carrying an undertone of what might have been amusement. The Kronax were indeed a species to watch carefully. You knew about them? Chen asked, trying to keep the accusation from her voice. Even back then. They were primitive when we first encountered your kind, but already showing signs of their future aggression. Lasara's eyes shifted in complex patterns. We had hoped they would choose a different path. Commander Patel, standing beside Chen, couldn't contain herself. With respect, Elder, why wait until now to return? The Kronax have been attacking human colonies for over a year. The promise was specific, Lasara replied. We were to aid humanity when they faced darkness among the stars. Until your broadcast of the ancient recording, no human had called upon us. We honor our debts, no more, no less. Chen exchanged glances with Patel. The rigid formality of the Veldari's interpretation wasn't what they'd expected from an advanced species. And now that you're here. Now we will help you defeat the Kronax. Lasara's skin rippled with patterns of blue and gold. But you should understand, our aid comes with its own price. Before Chen could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom, Admiral. Multiple Kronax ships just dropped out of FTL, they're launching an attack on the civilian evacuation fleet. Chen turned to the tactical display as it showed dozens of Kronax vessels emerging behind the vulnerable civilian ships. The Veldari vessels were out of position, busy securing the system's main jump points. Your ships won't reach them in time, Chen said, already calculating the losses they'd face. No, Lysara agreed. But we have other options. The elder raised one crystalline hand, and suddenly the conference room was filled with holographic displays showing technical specifications Chen had never seen before. During our absence, we did not remain idle. We developed weapons specifically to counter the Kronax. The displays showed what appeared to be modifications to human ships, crystalline additions that could be integrated with existing systems. These upgrades will allow your vessels to match Kronax technology, Lysara explained. We can begin installation immediately. What's the catch? Chen asked, studying the specifications. The technology looked incredible, almost too good to be true. The catch, Admiral, is that these modifications are permanent. They will fundamentally alter your ships, binding them partially to our technology. This is not a decision to be made lightly. Another explosion lit up the tactical display as a civilian transport took a direct hit. Chen's decision was made. Do it. Start with our combat vessels first. The next hour was organized chaos as Veldari engineers transported aboard human ships, beginning the modification process. Chen watched from the bridge as crystalline structures grew across the hull of the Horizon, integrating with their systems. The ship's power output immediately doubled, then tripled. Admiral, Rodriguez called out, his voice filled with wonder as he worked his modified console. These upgrades, the targeting systems alone, are beyond anything we've ever had. But there's something else in the data stream, some kind of historical database. Later, Chen ordered, watching the Kronax ships press their attack. Weapon status. Online and different. The Veldari modifications have completely changed our weapon systems. They're ready to fire. Chen took a deep breath, feeling the subtle vibration of her ship change as the new technology pulsed through it. All modified vessels, form up on the horizon. Let's show the Kronax what humanity can do with a little help from our friends. The ensuing battle was unlike anything in human military history. The modified human ships moved with impossible grace, their new weapons cutting through Kronax defenses. But it was more than just superior technology. The Veldari modifications seemed to enhance the human crew's natural intuition and adaptability. As the last Kronax ship retreated, Chen turned to Lysara, who had remained quietly observing on the bridge. Thank you. But I have to ask, why develop weapons specifically for fighting the Kronax? Why prepare for this exact scenario? Lysara's skin shifted to deep purple. Because, Admiral, the Kronax are merely the vanguard. There are far worse things coming, and humanity's assistance will be required to face them. Chen felt a chill run down her spine as she realized the truth. The Veldari hadn't returned just to repay an ancient debt. They'd returned because they needed humanity just as much as humanity needed them. What exactly is out there? She asked. Lysara's multiple eyes all focused on her at once. That, Admiral, is what we must discuss next. The price of tomorrow is higher than either of our species can pay alone. The holographic display in the Horizon's war room showed a region of space that made Admiral Chen's blood run cold. What had once been a thriving sector of the galaxy was now a void, thousands of star systems simply empty. We call them the Devourers, Lysara explained, the Elder's skin pulsing with dark patterns. They exist between dimensions, feeding on the fundamental forces that bind reality together. The Kronax are not their servants, merely harbingers. Where the Kronax destabilize civilizations, the Devourers follow. Dr. Williams studied the display with horrified fascination. Is this why the Veldari disappeared? You were fighting them? Fighting. Losing. Lysara's multiple eyes blinked in sequence. We realized we could not defeat them through force alone. So we withdrew, searching for a solution. What we found was unexpected. The hologram shifted, showing what appeared to be neural patterns. Human neural patterns. Your species possesses something unique, Lasara continued. A capacity for cognitive chaos, what you might call creativity or intuitive thinking. The Devourers cannot predict it. Cannot counter it. This is why we helped your ancestors, why we made that promise. We saw potential. Chen frowned. The Kronax have been systematically attacking human colonies that show the most technological progress. You're saying that's not a coincidence? They serve the Devourers unknowingly, culling species that might pose a threat. Lasara moved to the display, manipulating it with graceful gestures. But our greatest discovery was this: human minds, working in concert with Veldari technology, can create effects that pierce dimensional barriers. That can hurt them. The images shifted again, showing the modifications they'd made to the human fleet. The crystalline structures we added to your ships. They're not just weapons systems. They're neural interfaces, designed to amplify human cognitive patterns. Wait, Commander Patel interrupted, are you saying we're not just flying these ships, we're thinking through them? Precisely. Your crew's thoughts, filtered through our technology, create weapons the Devourers cannot adapt to because they cannot comprehend their fundamental nature. Lasara's skin flickered with patterns of gold and silver. But there is a cost. Chen had been wondering when they'd get to this part. What kind of cost? The neural interface changes those who use it. Subtly at first, but permanently. Your crews will develop new neural pathways, new ways of thinking. They will see reality differently. You're talking about altering our fundamental nature, Chen said quietly. Why didn't you tell us this before the modifications? Would it have changed your decision, with your people under attack? Lasara asked. The changes are not harmful, merely transformative. Your crews will remain human, but they will perceive and understand things no human was meant to comprehend. As if on cue, Rodriguez's voice came over the intercom, Admiral, we're getting strange readings from the crew. People are reporting, seeing things. Patterns in space. Connections between events. It's like you can see the fabric of reality itself, Lasara finished. This is only the beginning. Chen moved to the viewport, watching her modified fleet hang against the backdrop of stars. Already she could see it, subtle shifts in the void between stars, movements that hadn't been visible before. How long do we have? Before the Devourers arrive? Months, perhaps. The Kronax fleet you fought was larger than their usual pattern. They're preparing something. Lasara moved to stand beside her. We need to begin training your crews to use their new abilities. And we need to modify more ships. And start working on a way to defend against these Devourers, Chen added. She turned to face the elder. I understand why you didn't tell us everything at first. But from now on, I need complete honesty. If we're going to face this threat together, if we're going to allow ourselves to be changed by your technology, we need to know exactly what we're facing. Lasara's skin rippled with what Chen was beginning to recognize as respect. Agreed. Though you should know, the changes have already begun in you as well, Admiral. You're seeing the patterns now, aren't you? Chen nodded slowly. The space between stars was no longer empty to her eyes. She could see currents of energy, flows of probability, connections between events that she'd never noticed before. It should have been terrifying, but instead, it felt right. Show me everything, she said. Show me what we're really fighting. The holographic display shifted one final time, and Chen saw them, vast shapes moving between dimensions, beings of such cosmic scale that they defied comprehension. Yet with her newly awakening senses, she could begin to understand them. And more importantly, she could begin to see how they might be defeated. The price of tomorrow was transformation. But facing what was coming, it was a price worth paying. The void between Proxima Centauri and Earth rippled like disturbed water. Admiral Chen watched through both her natural eyes and her enhanced perception as reality itself began to tear. The combined human Veldari fleet hung in formation, waiting. 3 months of preparation had led to this moment. Multiple dimensional breaches detected, Rodriguez reported, his voice carrying the same ethereal quality all the modified crew members had developed. The Devourers are coming through. All ships, battle formation Delta, Chen ordered. Remember your training. Don't try to see them directly, focus on the patterns they disrupt. She turned to Lasara, who stood beside her on the bridge. Ready? The Elder's skin pulsed with complex patterns of anticipation. Your crews have learned more in 3 months than we expected. Let us hope it is enough. The first of the Devourers emerged from the dimensional tear. Through normal space, they appeared as vast shadows, darker than the void itself. But through her enhanced senses, Chen could see their true form, beings of pure entropy, consuming the ordered structure of reality itself. All ships, commence firing. Chen didn't need to specify targets. Each crew member could see the weak points in the Devourer's dimensional structure, places where concentrated thought energy could pierce their defenses. The battle that followed defied conventional description. The modified human ships moved in perfect synchronization with their Veldari allies, their weapons firing streams of crystallized thought that cut through the fabric of spacetime. The Devourers responded with attacks that didn't so much damage ships as try to unravel the laws of physics around them. Echo Squadron, your sector is weakening, Chen called out, seeing the patterns of probability shifting. Concentrate your fire on the temporal eddies. Commander Patel's voice came back, strained but determined. Understood, Admiral. All ships, focus your thoughts. Remember the simulations. Chen watched as Echo Squadron's crews joined their consciousness through the neural interfaces, their combined creativity generating weapons that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. A Devourer caught in their crossfire began to dissolve, its extra-dimensional mass collapsing in on itself. Admiral. Rodriguez called out. They're adapting to our attack pattern. They're trying to predict us. Impossible, Lasara said, multiple eyes widening. They cannot comprehend human thought patterns enough to. They're not predicting us, Chen interrupted, seeing the truth in the shifting patterns of reality. They're trying to change the rules. All ships, switch to random engagement protocols. Full cognitive chaos. The order spread through the fleet, and suddenly each human crew was operating on pure intuition, their actions guided by instinct rather than training. The Veldari ships smoothly adjusted their own tactics to complement the human chaos. The Devourer's attempt at prediction faltered against the storm of unpredictable human creativity. Where they expected logical responses, they got poetry in motion. Where they anticipated strategic retreats, they faced suicidal charges that somehow worked. Ma'am, Patel's voice came through again, I think I understand now. The Veldari gave us this technology not just to fight the Devourers, but because we could use it in ways they never imagined. Chen nodded, watching as human imagination transformed Veldari technology into something new. They're beings of pure order, like the Devourers are beings of entropy. We're the chaos in between. The random element that makes the impossible possible. A massive Devourer burst through the dimensional tear, larger than any they'd yet encountered. It moved with terrible purpose toward Earth, its presence beginning to unravel the very space around it. All ships, converge on my position, Chen ordered. Remember what you are, not just humans, not just pilots, but creators of possibility. Show them what chaos can do. The entire fleet moved as one, human and Veldari ships interweaving in a dance of destruction. Their combined weapons fire created a new kind of space between spaces, a realm of pure possibility born from the marriage of Veldari precision and human imagination. The massive Devourer tried to adjust, tried to predict what couldn't be predicted. The fabric of reality around it began to shift and twist as hundreds of human minds poured their creativity through crystalline neural interfaces, guided by Veldari wisdom. Now! Chen commanded, and reality itself seemed to hold its breath. The impossible happened. The unpredictable manifested. The Devourer, faced with weapons born from ordered chaos, began to break apart. Its death sent dimensional shockwaves through space, causing the remaining enemies to retreat. As the dimensional tear sealed itself, Chen turned to Lasara. The Elder's skin was pulsing with patterns she'd never seen before. That, Lasara said quietly, was not something we thought possible. It's just the beginning, Chen replied, watching her crews already developing new ideas, new ways to use their enhanced abilities. The Devourers thought they could predict and counter any weapon. But they never faced human creativity before. The price of tomorrow had been transformation. The reward was becoming something greater than either species could have achieved alone. 1 year after the Battle of Proxima Centauri, Admiral Chen stood in the newly constructed Harmony Station, watching Earth rotate below. The massive space station, built with combined human and Veldari technology, represented everything their alliance had achieved, and everything it promised for the future. The latest transformation reports are in, Dr. Williams said, her neural interface giving her voice that now familiar harmonic quality. 90% of humanity has accepted the modified Veldari technology. The changes are spreading naturally now, even to those who weren't directly connected to the interfaces. Chen nodded, watching the patterns of probability shift and flow around the planet below. The transformation that had started with military necessity had become something far more profound. Humanity was evolving, not through blind chance, but through conscious choice. And the Devourers? She asked, though she could already see the answer in the dimensional currents. Retreating across all fronts, Lasara answered, approaching with several other Veldari elders. Your species' gift for unpredictability, combined with our technology, has changed the fundamental equations of this war. They cannot adapt to what they cannot comprehend. Chen turned to face the elders. Their skin patterns had grown more complex over the past year, influenced by their continued exposure to human chaos. Just as humanity had been changed by Veldari order, the Veldari were being transformed by human creativity. The Kronaks have sued for peace, Commander Patel reported, joining them at the viewport. After seeing what happened to their Devourer masters, they're eager to negotiate. Some of their younger leaders are even requesting access to the transformation technology. Are we ready for that? Chen asked, directing the question to both human and Veldari leaders. To share this gift with other species? We must be, Lasara responded, its patterns shifting thoughtfully. The Devourers are wounded, not destroyed. They will return, perhaps in centuries, perhaps in millennia. When they do, the galaxy must be ready. Chen watched a group of children playing in the station's zero-gravity garden through another viewport. Human and Veldari young, learning together, their minds already displaying abilities that would have seemed godlike just a year ago. They didn't just see patterns in reality, they could weave them, creating new possibilities with every thought. 300 years ago, she said quietly, a human captain and a Veldari elder made a promise. They couldn't have known what it would lead to. Or perhaps they did, Lasara suggested. Perhaps they saw the pattern, even then. The potential of our species combined. A flash of light from Earth caught Chen's attention, the activation of another dimensional gateway. These portals, born from the marriage of human creativity and Veldari precision, were rewriting the rules of space travel. Humanity's long-held dreams of reaching the stars were being realized in ways no one had imagined. We paid the price of tomorrow, Chen said, watching the gateway stabilize. We transformed ourselves, became something new. But what we gained? She gestured to the station around them, to the children playing, to the infinite possibilities now open to them. The real question, Lasara added, is what price tomorrow will demand next. What challenges await us as we continue to evolve? Chen smiled, feeling the flow of probability, the endless dance of order and chaos that their combined species now navigated with ease. Whatever it is, we'll face it together. That's a promise worth keeping. The station's crystal-enhanced systems hummed with the combined thoughts of its human and Veldari inhabitants. Below, Earth glowed with the light of a civilization transforming itself. Above, the stars beckoned, filled with both danger and possibility. The price of tomorrow had been transformation. The reward was becoming something greater than anyone had imagined. And somewhere in the dimensional spaces between reality, the Devourers retreated from the one thing they could never conquer, the combined power of human chaos and Veldari order, bound together by a promise made 3 centuries ago. In the end, it wasn't just about survival. It was about transcendence. About 2 species choosing to become something new, something wonderful, something that could face whatever tomorrow might bring. The future was uncertain, unpredictable, impossible to fully comprehend. And that, Chen realized, was exactly as it should be.